Hi folks, this is kind of a show-off video, kind of an announcement that I've finally finished a project, which I haven't done in quite a while. I enjoy the journey a little too much. But if you recognize this little pattern here, you might be a Star Wars fan. For context, at the end of Return of the Jedi, there's kind of an infamous scene where, like, you know, all the rebels are trying to like take down the Death Star and stuff like that. And the people, after they meet the Ewoks and they battle the Imperial army and everything, Han Solo and Leia and Chewbacca have to go blow up the shield generator, right, to open up the Death Star to attack. And at the end, he's like, "Throw me a charge," and some extra, a rebel person, throws him like a backpack, and there's these things in it, and they stick them on the ceiling, turn them on, and then the scene's over with or whatever. Just like a lot of things in Star Wars, this is a smorgasbord, I guess. A smash up of a whole bunch of unrelated parts that, when stuck together, look like a thing, an interesting looking thing. A lot of Star Wars is lived in, used universe. It's very post-apocalyptic and very like clunky. Everything's like big switches, and that's the whole shtick, the whole gimmick. So here is my full-on, I guess, finished Rebel mine. A couple of these have gone up for auction through like Prop Store, things like that. So we have some decent pictures now, and they were kind of smashed together props. They were well made, but they didn't like nowadays you CNC stuff for like precision edges and stuff like that, and that was not a thing back in 1982. But here you go. And we thought this whole thing was one thing because it does look like one thing. So we were looking at smoke alarms and sprinkler systems and all kinds of weird stuff that you would stick on a ceiling, because that would kind of make sense. But it turns out most of this is a motor housing for a drill. Who would have thought? The skirt is separate. It's a part of the whole massive catalog of model making materials that you would use for architectural models, for special effects, and movie model making, and all kinds of other stuff. There's tons of plastic out there that's produced in different forms so that you're able to actually build things. And that was a bread and butter thing for scratch-made items in Star Wars. So they put these together, you paint them, and it looks like one unit, which is pretty cool. There were gaps in the motor housing. They covered them with photomultiplier filters from a vacuum tube. It's pretty cool looking things. They put those everywhere in Return of the Jedi. I'm trying to look at the rest of this. The top of this is just absolutely bananas. There's audio knobs, boot studs, pieces from a record player, and even like a wire clip, an old, just a stick-on thing to organize cables and stuff just stuck in there. It looked interesting enough, Some of these I did actually cast myself. These boot studs, I have a few of them, but I kind of wanted just to have extra pieces. So I did a silicone mold a while ago. And I was able to cast tin, silver, and lead alloy into metal copies for these. I think it's solder or pewter, in that realm of metal. So I was able to do metal castings of these. And I did actually machine the top of this. The center is actually a mobile unit. They actually needed something he could click that would turn on, So there is a rotary switch in here, and there's a little circuit to make that happen. But it wasn't quite tall enough. So they added a piece of a V8 engine model kit on there, and then capped it off with, we think it's a furniture foot, like a metal scuffer for the bottom of a chair or something. We haven't been able to really find one that matches. So I went and machined my own out of aluminum, and I'm not really a real machinist, so this was quite difficult. Pull the lamp away. It's like a donut shape with a reduced gosh, lighting is difficult, isn't it? Yeah, there we go. You can still see my lathing marks in the center. Oops. Well, I'll put that on later. But you can still see the lathing marks in the center of that darned thing. It was pretty tough to do. It was actually a recess underneath that clips onto. I love this lighting. Boy, without the shade, wow, this is great. There's a recess that I machined into this that locks into the model kit part, and they're all glued together. But yeah, I did put my own LEDs in. They're blinkies, and they oscillate at just slightly different speeds or frequencies. So they start off identical, but which direction is it? This? And then they eventually did it. So it makes them look a bit more interesting than I planned, which is a nice accident. So yeah, this is like a functional cool prop. I can get to the batteries. The original has screws in the bottom here. Very tightly tapped screws because they only go into the wall of this, which is really edgy. I can't believe I pulled that off, but like, really, guys? Like, anyways, so you can pop this off to get to a battery pack in there, which is only a few coin cells. But so now I have a thing. I have a prop replica from Return of the Jedi. There is a magnet underneath because they do stick it to the ceiling. They use double stick tape, but I wanted to have a magnet or something. I could put it on the wall or something, but I think this plastic is too insulating because the magnet doesn't really grip as much as I thought it would. There's the ugly side of it. But there we have it, folks. The Rebel Limpet mine, the charges that Han Solo needs to take down the bunker. Until next time.